folks. I'm going to be developing a website based on this Figma design. This is a Figma design, so we're going to be writing the CSS and HTML for it together. In this video, I'm going to be focusing mostly on HTML, which is going to be using semantic tags as well as CSS, and we're going to be using the BAM convention when naming our CSS classes. So I know some of you is going to be your first time learning about BAM, but it's a very important convention. It makes your code more readable and maintainable as well as much manageable. So we're going to also use semantic tags so that our code can be easily used by people who are using screen readers, so those who cannot see what is on the browser. So yeah, let's get started. This is our design that we're going to be using. It's just a simple profile website. I'm going to be emphasizing mostly on the layout of the elements in this web page. So this is our view. We are going to be testing how our browser views what we are designing from this tab. And then let me go on and open my text editor. I'm going to be using VS Code as my text editor. As you can see, I already have my HTML file and my CSS files created. And then I'm going to start with our what you call boilerplate for our HTML. I'm going to just type an exclamation mark. I'm going to use a shortcut that will type everything for me. As you may know, this is our doc type declaration, and this is our HTML tag. As you can see, the stuff in the light blue are attributes, so each element here is going to have an attribute for it, as you can see. And then we have our head section here. As you may know that we have a head section in the HTML. I'm going to indent them a bit so that it becomes readable. Right, these are our two children for this HTML element: the head section, as well as the body section. So what I'm going to do first is to add a title for my just make it readable a bit so that we can see what is happening. Just gonna add lines here like that. So as you can see, I'm not adding a line in between a parent element tag and the child tag. So make sure that you make your code readable like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the title to portfolio website. Then also going to link my styles to this file. Styles name is styles.css, so I'm going to have a link tag, and I'm going to just say styles.css. Then I'm going to add another attribute here called type. The type of our file is going to be a text file or a CSS file. So yeah, that's it. Now, since I have linked my styles, I'm going to just add a simple style so that to check if our CSS file is linked. Styles HTML. Then I'm going to just add a background color of red and save. Then test it on the browser. Let's see if it's going to be red. You see, it has applied the name or the title as portfolio website. However, we are not seeing a red color, which means there is a mistake that we may have made. Let's check. Okay, styles. So I linked it as style. So you have to make sure that your href here has got the same name as your file where you are styling your page. Okay, so I left out an S here. That is why we are not seeing any changes. So I've actually updated that one and saved. Now I'm gonna load again. It turns right, which means our background has been applied and our CSS has been linked with our HTML file. Perfect. Now we are going to start with our code. Now I'm gonna remove this stuff and save, and then I'm going to start from the design here. I'm going to start with the header, which is the black part that we have there. This is where I'm going to start working. Then I'm going to move on to the next section, then move on to the next section. As you can see, we've got a black header which spans across the width of the whole document, and it has 3 navigation links. So we're going to be designing this thing right now in the first part of our tutorial. So let's get started. So usually the header, we're going to, as I said, that we're going to be using semantic tags. Semantic tags are these tags such as header. Header is a semantic tag, so it allows someone who's using a screen reader to know that there is a header section at the top. Take note that there is a header which is written in between the body tags, okay? And then there is a head section which is actually a child of the HTML tag. It is at the same level with the body, so do not confuse between the header and the head. So because the head is only meant to provide additional information about the website. For example, we have added a title, and whatever that we add in this part of the web page of the HTML section is not going to appear here in this red part, in this red area. As you can see, we added title, but it's in the title bar, okay? It's on the tab which gives us the name of the site, but we're not seeing it in this browser view window where we have the red color, okay? So let me just remove that. Now we are going to add the header. I'm going to give it a class. As you may know, I said that I was going to use a BAM naming convention. BAM stands for a block element modifier. So the blocks are those parts of your HTML that you can lift and can move to another document or something, which become the parents to the elements, okay? So we have elements which become the children of the blocks. So here I'm going to make the header a block, so I'm just going to name it header. When you're naming blocks, we just use a single word, or you can, if you want to use 2 words, you separate them with a hyphen. And then when you are using elements, you first write the name of the block under which that element falls. So you are going to separate the name of the block from the name of the element with an underscore. We are going to see it as we continue working on it. Now inside this header we have got another block. I'm going to use it a block, okay, so which is called a nav. So I'm gonna call it a nav, and I'm gonna give it a class name of nav, okay. So I'm going to have a nav. Nav is also a semantic HTML tag, and we have added a class nav to it, okay. So now I'm going to have elements in this particular nav. So for example, I'm going to have a list, and I'm going to name it nav, which is the name of the block, underscore list, which is actually the name of the element. So now the class name of this particular element is nav list, because it's taking this name from this block name of nav, okay. So I'm going to have nav list items now, okay. So I'm gonna have allies. As you know that an ally is supposed to go inside the UL or an OL, but in this case we're going to be using a UL. So I'm gonna have an ally, then I'm gonna call it a nav item, okay. Nav item, give it a class of nav item. So I'm gonna call it home, because that's what we have in our design here. We also have projects, we also have about. Okay, so that's home, and then I'm going to just copy. Okay, before that, these items are also links, so I'm going to make it a link, which will be an anchor tag. Then I'm going to call it a nav link. It's also an element, so this nav link is going to have home inside of it. Then for href, I'm just going to put a hashtag which stands for an ID. I can link it to some place in this HTML file, or I can actually link it to another page in my website. Okay, so now we have got our first nav item. I'm just going to copy and paste so that I have 3 of them, 2 and 3. Then I'm going to call this other one projects, and then the other one is going to be, I think, contact me, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to call it check. Let's see, it's about, not contact me. Okay, so quickly go and use about as we are given in the design. So far so good. We have got our header. Now we have got the skeleton or the HTML structure of our header, which is not styled yet. So we are now going to move on and style this one. Before we move on, let's just check how it is rendered on the browser. Let's load. Okay, we can see that we have got our links. We have changed the color to blue, and when you move over them, we get a pointer and they are underlined. What underlines this text is because we have used an anchor tag around them. This is why they are underlined, and they have changed the color to blue. And by default, links will do that. The anchor tag will do that, and when you hover over it becomes a pointer instead of an arrow. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to start by adding the background to our HTML. Let's see what our background is from our design. We have got our design here. This is the main like the main content of everything, the main document, which is desktop one. So when I click on it, I'm going to make sure that on this site you are on inspect. Okay, you are on inspect. I'm going to leave a link to this design on the description of this video so that you are able to access it and work from it. So we have to be under inspect here in order for you to be able to see the style rules that have been used, the values that have been used for styling this whole thing. So the background is navy bluish, so I'm just going to copy it here as it is. If you actually go and inspect here, you will be able to see that. Okay, now let me go and quickly add this style. I'm going to add the background to my HTML element so that I've got a background color, and make sure that you type it in lowercase. Even though in Figma it's in uppercase, you can type it in lowercase. Okay, then you save. Then when you save, we are going to load here. We are going to get the background that we have as per design. Okay, and then the other thing that we are going to look into is what we have here. Okay, we have got, let me just open this one quickly and see what else we have in our header. We now have a header. We need to first of all remove the bullets. Okay, you see it has got these dots, so we're going to remove these bullets before we move on, and we're going to remove underline, and we're also going to remove what you call the color to give it a default color. So this is what we're going to do now. As you may know, those are caused by the links. So I'm just going to remove it from the anchor text. I'm just going to say use a property called text decoration. I'm gonna set it to none because I'm removing underline by that one. Then I'm going to also remove change the color to the default color, which is black. I'm gonna use this one. Then I will save, and then I come here and reload. So now we see that it's no longer underlined and it is no longer blue. So we are going to also use now let's go to our UL. We are going to remove the bullets, so we use what is called list style to remove the bullets, and we set it to none. And then when we reload, the bullets will go away. Okay, and then we are going to move on also and okay, change the alignment. Remember, we have got we are removing the bullets on all the lists that we are going to have in this document. We are also removing the text decoration and the color for all the links that we have in this document, okay, so that they have the default. So we have set it to default, but we still need to change the color of every text that is in this document to white. So we're going to use color because we're changing for the whole file. We are going to set it in the HTML element so that it applies it to everything. Okay, so the reason why it's not applying the way we want it is because we have applied a color here. Let's just remove this one, because this is how CSS works. If you apply a property to an element at the top and you apply the same property with a different value, it's going to update what you had, so it overrides the previous rule that you had applied. So make sure that when you are working on your styles, you check how you're applying your styles. So now you can see that the color of the anchor tag of the link is not changed, so we need to also go on and make it white so that it's white. Okay, and then yeah, so we have made it white. Let's reload. It's now white. Okay, now I'm going to display these list items in line. As you can see, now they are displayed as block, because that is the behavior of an unordered list. It displays as a block element. So now we want them to be in line, so we're going to use something called a flex box. Okay, I'm going to make my nav list a flex container, which is going to contain flex items, which will be our list items, will be flex items, will be contained inside a flex box, which is the UL. So what is the class that we use for our UL? Okay, I'm gonna have to remove some of these styles if I start to code. So now I'm going to make it a nav list. Then I'm gonna apply the display property to flex. Okay, I'm gonna use display flex for my nav list. So when I reload, it's going to display them next to each other. That is inline display. That is the behavior of a flex box. It displays its flex items as inline elements. So this is what we're going to do. It also has another property called a gap. We're going to add a gap in between these. So we're gonna add a gap. We have to check what is our gap, what size is the gap in between home and project and about. So let's check. You have to come here. We are inside the header section, which is the nav bar here, and we have home. You click on home. Then when you select home here and you move your mouse to the next one, it will show you the gap that is in between these two elements. So we have something like 49 pixels. So let's check in between about and projects. We also have something like 49 pixels. So I'm simply going to use so I'm going to use 48 pixels for the gap. So I'm just going to say a gap and give it 48 pixels, which is a bit close to, I like to use numbers that when you divide them by 2 or 3 they leave no remainder, so that's why I'm choosing to use 48 instead of 49. I could use 50. As you may see, there is a gap now in between our link items, right? And then move on. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to actually import our font. Let me just show you quickly something. I'm going to use a font here, which is called, what font do we use for our text here in the whole document? We are using Inter, okay, and the normal font is 400. And also let's check the heading font, what it is. Okay, we're using Inter and the font weight is 700. So this is a font that is actually on Google. We are going to download this font. Actually, we're going to have a link to this font so that we can access it. So let me quickly use it and not include it in my web, so that we see the effect of not using a downloaded font as an online font as a normal font. So I'm going to add my font here as font family Inter. Okay, Inter. You see it doesn't show, but when you type things like Arial you will see it, but Inter you cannot see it here because you need to download it from Google. So downloaded fonts, so Inter, I'm gonna use Arial as a fallback font, and any other sans serif font. Any other sans serif font. As you may see, the color is still white, but these ones that are available are changing to a different color. So this one you need to enclose it in quotes, okay, but still it's not going to work. Let me just quickly go and reload on my browser before we check if this font Inter has been applied. So I'm going to quickly reload. It has changed, so I'm gonna quickly go and inspect. I'm opening developer tools. You can click F12 if you want to open this window. Then now I'm not sure if this font has been applied, because it's supposed, it is showing as if it has been applied, but it is using Arial actually. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to download a Google font. Our font is Inter. Remember, we're downloading the two weights, 700 and 400, as you may see from here, right? These are the weights that we are looking for. So when you come here, you type in Inter Google font, and then you are going to be able to get a link to this font. But before that, you need to check what you want to download. Already I have downloaded these ones, they are already there. So you're going to click on this plus, and also you're looking for the 700 one. It's already added as well. So when there is a plus here, it means that you haven't added it to your link. when you have a plus, you haven't added, and then when you have a negative, you have added. So when you go back, let's see, where is our link? Okay. Let me just download quickly and see what it's gonna do. I can't see my, there you go. Here is my link. As you can see, there is 400 regular and bolt of 700, and there is so if you want to remove it, you just click on these buttons. So here you have two ways to import. You can use import or you can use a link. Okay, so what you're going to do, they are showing you how you're going to reference it in your CSS. Scroll down again. I need to copy it. Unfortunately, I don't know why. Okay. I need to copy this link, this whole link, copy and paste it in the HTML tag. So I'm going to paste it under this link of mine, so I'll have a second link for the fonts. Okay, this is where we are. So it downloads two links. I wonder why it's downloading two links. Let me see. Oh, I was supposed to take just one link, I guess. Let me see. Does it have close origin? No, it doesn't. Okay, it's fine like this. We are going to keep it like this and continue. I'm just going to save this and see what it looks like. Save it. Let's load. I want you to watch carefully if there are any changes in our font. Did you see that? Did you see that it now changed? It had not applied the inter font. It had applied Arial, I'm sure, or any other sans serif font. Now it has applied inter because we have actually included it into our styles. Okay. Now the other thing, we need to go here and check the weight of our link items. The weight of our link items is actually 700, and the font size is 12 pixels. Okay, and the font height is 14.52. We can use 14. So let me just quickly copy these. Yeah, I'm going to use these ones. These are from our link items. Let me quickly see what is going to be our, okay, we're going to use 414 pixels for normal text. Okay, so let me just come here in my CSS. I've already used inter there, it's fine. So I'm going to have a font size of 14 pixels and a font weight which is normal. I'm going to apply this one. A font line height, line height of 16 pixels. Okay, so we save this, and then for our nav list now, I'm going to change the font size to 12 pixels and the line height to 14 pixels according to our design. This is what we have. Let's load and test. Right, but I also need to change the font weight to 700. Currently it's 400, so I'm going to quickly change the font weight to 700. There we go. Now when I change it to 700, it's going to make them a little bit bolder. Okay, as you can see. Now what is left for us to do now is to add a border, a background to our header. We don't have a header here, so the nav list is inside the header, the UL is inside the header. So now I want to take this one, since it's our nav list, and place it here, and then delete this one. Okay, we don't need it, it will be redundant. And then I'm going to add a header class and add a background color of black, as it is black. Okay, then we'll load our page. There you go. The next thing that we're going to need to add is the padding. So we're going to go and check what is our padding at the moment. As you may see, I click here, the space in between our nav links and the boundaries of the header is 28 pixels by 152 pixels. So on the left and right it's going to be 152 pixels, and on the top and bottom is going to be 28. So I'm quickly going to show you how you are going to add the padding. So here in the header you can add a padding. You can say a padding left, we say just 152 pixels. You can have padding right of 152 pixels. You can also have padding top of 28 pixels. Then you have padding bottom of 28 pixels. So this is how you can add the padding. This is a too much code, and we can see that we are repeating things, so we are going to make this code shorter. Let me quickly show you what it will look like. Now it has added the padding. Okay, it's still big though. We're going to sort it out. And then how you can add this padding, there's another way you can add a padding. You can add a padding like this. You have padding only, and then you have top of 28 pixels, you have right of 152 pixels, you have bottom of 28 pixels, and you have 152 on the left. So this is the other way, another way you can add a padding, but still you can actually make that code shorter. As you can see, there is no change that has been effected. Also, now we want to make it shorter, so this still represents top, right, bottom, and left. Okay, so you can remove these last two and remain with only this one. Now this 28 represents top and bottom, and this 152 represents left and right. So that is how you can add the padding. If you want to add a padding around your element, this is how you can do it. As you can see, there are not any changes. Now what are we going to do? We need to, as you can see, we still have a blue area around our header, yet our header is supposed to take. So the reason why we have this one, this is the default margin that comes with the body element of HTML. As you can see, when you click here, I'm gonna be using, as you can see, it has how much? 8 pixels of padding of margin. This is the margin that we are having. As you can see, when I hover over it, it highlights it with the color that we have here for margin, as you can see. So we are going to remove this margin from the header, from the body, so that we have correct measurements. So I'm just gonna add a body here. I'm gonna use it and say margin 0. I'm setting it to 0 so that it removes it. Okay, quickly let's just reload. Now our header has gone to the top of the HTML document, but still we have, let me just show you on my UL, our padding is still like too much. So let me go to the UL tag so that I show you how to fix this. We have the nav here. Our UL also has a left padding of 40 pixels, as you can, let me just see, make it a little bit larger here. We have a left padding of 46 pixels, which is something that we don't want. We're going to remove it. we also have a margin of 12 pixels, so we're going to also remove this. So I am quickly going to just add it, chain it with body. So I'm going to chain it with body to give a margin of 0, and I'm just going to give a padding of 0 as well. And also, yeah, that's it. Let's just quickly reload and check what it looks like. Now it has become smaller, and as you can see, it no longer has any padding or margin. So now we have the correct measurement. So there is another property that I want us to add to all of our elements. So I'm gonna use what is called a universal selector. If you remember about selectors, we have got this asterisk. We use it as a universal selector. It means we're selecting all the elements. So I'm going to add something called a box sizing, and set it to border box. When I'm setting it to border box like this, I'm making sure that whenever I'm measuring an element's width and height, the border as well as the padding of that particular element will be included in the measurement of a height or a width. So that is why we have to add this property to all the elements that we have, so that we have accurate measurements of our elements. Okay, so this one is not going to show you any changes, and then we move on. And also one more thing that I'm going to add is a smooth scroll to my HTML document. So I'm going to have a property called scroll behavior and select smooth as the value, so that when I'm scrolling my document, it's gonna scroll smoothly up and down. Okay, now let's look at the other thing that we need to do to our header here. We need to move these link items into the right. Okay, so I'm going to use another property for our, okay, let's just quickly see where is our UL. It extends up to the right, so I'm just going to apply it to a nav item and display it to the right. Okay, so I'm gonna come here and let me quickly style the nav item, which comes after the nav list. Okay, so I'm gonna have nav item here and say justify self. Do I have flex height? No, let me just use and flex and flex end. So I want it to be a flex box and I want it to be at the end. It didn't work. Okay, so that one is not gonna work. So let's we need to move it to the, okay, well, let me see. It's supposed to go, this is the nav list, it's a parent. I'm gonna use justify content flex end. Yep, let me use this one, justify content flex end, and save and reload here. It has moved our link items to the right. Okay, that is what justify content does if you apply the flex. And you can also make it center if you want. It takes the center property. Now you are justifying the contents of the flex container or the flex box. So you are applying these values. You can do flex start, you can do flex end, you can do space between. Okay, so I'm gonna just say flex end. Now we are, the other thing that we need to do is to make our nav links uppercase. Okay, as you can see, they are in uppercase according to our design. So we're going to change the text transform to having our header completed. Thank you for tuning in and watching this. I hope you practiced enough, and look out for part 2 of this video, where we are going to be working on the hero section of this website. I think I will call it a day, and then we are going to meet in part 2. Look out for part 2. Thank you very much. I wish wish you all the best with your exams. Uppercase. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. We are going to come to our header. I'm just going to add it to the header and use text transform and select uppercase. Okay, and save, and then we check what it looks like on the browser. Now they are in uppercase. Okay, well, this is what we have. We are going to come back after we have actually written the whole code so that we actually make style, the hover effects and stuff. Okay, so let's just stop here for now.